As I watched this clip, there were two things that struck me. One is, in some ways, Claus has come full circle. He's in some ways come to a point where he can actually achieve the grand vision that he started out with when he was 21 or something like that, right? Where to actually create this Danish food culture, something that you could be very proud of. And yet, in the clip, he did not say, aha, now I have finally achieved my vision that I started out with. It's almost like he had forgotten all about it in all the different ventures that he had started. And when it came to actually saying this is the best, it's like the best idea I ever had just happened, which was really not to achieve his dream per se, but to create this dream that is shared by a lot of people, the chefs, the farmers, even the politicians and everybody. So it's truly something that's owned by the Nordic people rather than Claus's vision coming true. I don't think he was even aware, although through and through it is driven by that vision that he had. So I was really, I found it interesting and impressive that in some ways it is his vision and yet it's not his vision. It really is, it has become the vision of the stakeholders who actually own this vision in some ways, which is the manifesto. The other thing that struck me was, why did he not do this as his first venture? Why did he do a little catering business here and a little, coffee business or vinegar business? Why did he do all those things instead of just, this was his vision, wasn't it? Why didn't he do that? And I think the answer to that is very, very important in thinking causally versus effectually. If he had used a causal approach, this is the first thing he would have tried to do. And what do you think would have happened? In actual fact, I think nobody would buy into it because he was a nobody at the time. He had not proved himself on the various ways in which his vision could actually concretely be built into ventures that people can actually invest in. Not just money, but emotion and energy and part of their lives. But when you actually have built the crazy quilt, so it's like the crazy quilter, at the beginning if they say this is how the quilt will look, nobody can imagine it for the simple reason they themselves cannot quite imagine it. And it is a fact, I think, that the best idea ever that Claus had just happened, even though the vision is a very old one. And all those little patches that you have to put together and show and try out and redo again, I think these are necessary steps in building the grand quilt that comes later. So I think the effectual approach suggests that don't try to take your vision and then try to implement the vision right away as it is. Then it is just your vision. It doesn't belong to the people in some ways. But if you could actually show in little bits and pieces how it can be, I think eventually the vision that comes to be is more powerful precisely because it's been built ground up from a lot of people who have also built pieces of this particular vision. And I think that is one of the truly interesting things about the effectual way of doing things as opposed to the causal way. So it truly is an intersubjective process with a lot of people involved. And it really is not about individual creativity or individual genius. It's very easy to see a clip like this from Claus Meyer and think about him as some kind of hero. In actual fact, the heroism comes in the fact that he acknowledges that he is not a hero and that what he really is, that he cares about it and somehow he's able to bring people on board and kind of make them care about the same thing or bring people on board who already care about the same thing and bring their talents somehow to stitch it together into his business. And it is that particular thing I think we need to understand more how to do it well. We don't really understand it all that well in terms of research and teaching and so on, but it is kind of the heart of the effectual process as opposed to the causal one, which is all about this individual having this grand vision and going out and selling, and all the other people running behind him, and then, voila, the vision happens. Effectual actually suggests you may have a grand vision, but the way you do it is in little steps where different people actually buy into it, and you also change the details of your vision till it comes to a point where it comes together into this thing that is ground up and it belongs to a lot of different people. And I think that's what the last clip is about.